I really encourage people to have some sort of a body routine, right? Whether you're going to the gym or swimming or just something that you do to activate your body.
I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that'll reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. We're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life who want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. Today I get to speak with the one and only Alvin Narsey. Alvin has had an exciting journey buying and selling multiple pharmacy businesses in Australia over the past 16 years. He's known for his ability to simplify the fundamentals of growing retail businesses. He has a framework that boils down to implementing the basics, focusing on cash flow and profit, and from day one, setting everything up so your retail business runs without you. Trained as a pharmacist in Melbourne, Australia, he bought his first business as a partnership a few years after he graduated from university. As a pharmacist, you're trained as a clinician, not how to run a business. With the help of coaches and mentors and feverish appetite for freedom and adventure, Alvin quickly learned how to utilize systems and leverage to ensure these businesses were fulfilling his lifestyle goals. Now that Alvin has sold all his businesses, he's now embarking on his next adventure of traveling the world and helping other retail business owners create the lifestyle they want. Alvin's uniqueness is sharing the skills that retail business owners need to increase their income, provide value to their clients and customers, and live a life of massive personal freedom. So let's jump into this episode as we learn about Alvin and his journey. Alvin, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Yeah, Junaid, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to be hanging out with you today.
Absolutely. So I love conversations and I love understanding where people come from. What journey did they took to get here? You're a business coach and you're here to empower others, retail business owners, to create more freedom. So I'm sure there's some journey that you came through solving your own problem. So walk us through how you got started.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a pharmacist by profession. So I trained as a pharmacist in Melbourne, Australia. And I got into my first business when I was 26 or 27 years old into a pharmacy partnership. And, I was really young back then and I was really driven, I can say now I was really driven by money and I really wanted to make a lot of money and be really successful. And that's what successful meant to me at that time as a kid, literally a kid. So I was always used to getting help, I guess, always at school, I always had a tutor and that kind of thing. So it was really easy for me after I had been in business for like 6 months, not knowing what I was doing, because, as a pharmacist, I'm a technician, right? I work with patients, I look after patients and dispense their medication and so forth. And I was like, the business is not growing as quick as I want to. So I engaged a business coach, way back then. And Casey was awesome. My very first business coach. And basically from there, he kind of set me up for success and a greater understanding of what a business is. He definitely taught me a lot about myself because a lot of what drives your business forward is what's important to you as the individual, your vision, your passion, and all that kind of thing. And I'm sure we'll get into that later on. So yeah, so from then we in my partnership with the two other partners I had, we bought and sold pharmacies. At one stage, we had 5 businesses as a partnership together. Then halfway through, we decided to go our separate ways. And then I was on my own running a fairly decent sized business. And then the pandemic came. And in Melbourne, Australia, Melbourne at the time was one of the most stringent places in the world for lockdowns, right? You couldn't leave home at one stage for more than an hour. You couldn't travel anywhere. You couldn't go within what we call kilometer radius back in Australia. So, it was really tough. And my wife and I, we decided this is not the life that we want to live. So she's from Germany. So we decided to make the move to Germany. And so I sold my pharmacy business. She quit her job. We put a few things into storage, rented out the house, and I made the move to Germany. But when I sold my business, I was working with another business coach at the time, and Glenn is his name. And he was like, well, what are you going to do when you get to Germany? I was like, I don't know. I'll probably buy another business. I'm not really sure. And he made the suggestion you should be a business coach. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not as good as you, And he goes, no, I think you've got the right personality. I think you implemented things really well. And I was like, okay, but what am I going to coach on? And, he gave me this really good suggestion. He says, imagine if you went back in time and met your younger self when you first got into business. What would you have liked to have known to really hack your curve, to be successful and to kickstart your journey?
Yeah.
But that was a really great suggestion. So basically what I'm doing now as a business coach, and I start my clients off, is basically all the things that I would have wanted from a business coach in the beginning. And so that's what I'm doing now. So that's my journey on how I got to doing what I'm doing. And it suits my lifestyle really great because one of my values is adventure, freedom, travel. And it's really great, thanks in part to COVID, but thanks to the magic of the internet, I can work with clients all over the world and I can be all over the world. So that's how I got to where I am today.
Wow. Very short, concise. And it goes to show, right? You took advantage of the timing. You took advantage of what's possible because you had gone through so many different businesses yourself, because you had the help, right? And I tell people all the time, you've got to have a mentor, you got to have a coach, you got to have somebody on your side, right? We're not designed to work alone in this world. That's why we get married. That's our life coach. That's what life partner.
Correct.
Right? You can't do anything alone. Gentleman I spoke with on the podcast a few episodes ago mentioned how Microsoft wouldn't be Microsoft if it wasn't for Bill Gates and Paul Allen. Apple wouldn't be Apple if it wasn't, Steve Wozniak's brains and Steve Jobs' marketing,
exactly
bravado
right
and whatnot.
Exactly right. Yeah, I think it's really important to get an outside opinion, someone that challenges you, but at the same time can guide you and basically just shows you things that, quite often as business owners, we can get really, we can just be really narrow in our thinking and the way we want to do things.
Got that tunnel vision,
Tunnel vision, that's what I'm trying to say. And, it's always great and really good to have, like you said, a mentor or somebody older that's already done it, or enlist the services of a coach to help you out. So yeah, I've always found it to be really useful. And I still today, I use a coach, and, I'm working on my deadlift at the moment. So I've got a coach for that. So, I just, to do things right from the beginning and to really get results really quickly. So I'm all for it.
And you're absolutely right, because when you do have those coaches, and we can look at the greats, we can look at Michael Jordan, we can look at Kobe Bryant, and I always think about these basketball players, but even if you look at Muhammad Ali and all these greats, they had coaches, they had people around them just egging them on, and that's what we want. We want cheerleaders to help us keep going and keep motivated, because the default state of our mind is negativity. The default
Yes.
state of our human condition is like, oh my God, I'm going to crash into this car. Oh my God, I'm going to, run into this ground. You're always negative, negative, negative. So you need a lot of external influences just to keep your positivity. And that's why there's so many podcasts, there's so many books that
Yes.
you're recommended to read. What is that? A successful CEO reads about 100 books a year,
Yeah.
right?
Easily.
2 books.
Easily.
And
Totally.
those are, again, external motivators to cleanse your mind of that negativity, to keep the good stuff coming in.
Exactly like you said, and especially when you're a business owner, when times get really, really tough, it's so easy just to fold in the cards and, collapse the table and just decide to be, oh man, this is too hard, I'm done with it. Whereas, if you have someone that you can talk to, they can really show you that this is actually part of the process, right? You can work through this, and through that adversity, as we all know, there's always a brighter side. And if you work through it, it actually becomes a system or procedure that you can implement later on to actually do greater things.
And a lot of times people say, oh, I'm not moving forward, nothing is happening. And I tell them, you're probably in the cocoon stage.
Yeah.
That means you need to do a lot of internal work before you can become that butterfly.
Yes.
And get out there. And I feel like that I'm in that cocoon stage and butterfly stage, in different areas of my life.
Absolutely.
The studio might be the butterfly, but maybe internally, I'm still in that cocoon stage because I have a lot of internal work to do still.
I think we all have a lot of internal work to do, and I truly believe it's a continuous process. And it's great you said that, because one of the first things that I do when I get retail business clients is to actually work on that internal work or that mindset, help them understand, what's really driving you, what your values are, what you enjoy doing, what makes you happy, all those conversations, which, typically as a business owner, you're not really having with yourself or with other people. But I think it's a really important conversation to have with yourself to, continue to start that journey and to propel you forward. It's so important. And it's continual work, I think.
It is continual work. That 1% increment that you do on yourself every single day, that's all it takes.
Yep.
And for yourself, it's not that much. It's not that much at all. But for the outside eye, like, oh my God, you grew so much in a month. And I'm looking at my 1-month-old baby, right? He was so tiny, and now he's like 2 inches taller in a month's time. Like, oh my God, what's going on?
That's right. Yeah, you're right. It's hard for us to see it when we're right in the weeds, right? And this used to happen to me, and it still does. Like I feel like I'm doing everything. I'm trying to do everything to grow my business, and it just feels like nothing's working, or I haven't moved the needle at all. But someone that's looking at you from the outside with a perspective on things can really see like, oh my God, yeah, you're actually doing a lot of things, and it's just time to be a little bit patient and keep pushing forward, right? I think that's one of the lessons that I've learned for sure, is because I've always tried to, accomplish things really, really quickly. And then I complain that I'm not getting the results that I want, but, without really objectively taking a step back and looking at it properly, right?
Yeah, we all want that overnight growth.
Yes.
We all want that overnight success. But what people don't realize is that overnight successes take about 10 years.
Yeah, it takes time. Absolutely.
I love to, quote this story about the Chinese bamboo tree. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, I have not. Tell me.
The way it works is once you've planted the Chinese bamboo root, I don't know if this is a seed, but the seed is so hard that you need to continually water it and nourish it for 5 years.
Wow.
Water, nourish, and you won't see anything popping up. And if you stopped even one day, guess what? That seed is now dead. You got to start all over. You got to start over.
Yes.
But after the 5 years, this bamboo shoot grows about 6 inches a day.
Wow.
It is massive growth, like boom, and it's sustainable. So that's why they use bamboo for a lot of furniture, a lot of things, because bamboo is very sustainable.
That's a great metaphor. I'm going to have to borrow that one. I really like it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, awesome.
I think I've got a blog post on it on my site about the Chinese bamboo tree, but I was like so blown away because it is very similar to what we do with ourselves when we're trying to grow our businesses. This is the fourth year of the Hacks and Hobbies podcast. It didn't start as a interview show. It started as me talking about my beekeeping journey, right? It was very different. But then over time, as I grew, the podcast has to grow. So
Yes.
don't worry that if you're not staying the track that you started with, because our lives change over time.
Yeah, I think we need to evolve, as we evolve, everything around us, our business, our projects, our life evolves with us. And yeah, I think that's great. And I think it's really important to embrace that evolution that we have, and realize that we are evolving. And, in a sense, we probably need to be constantly evolving as human beings, to continue to challenge ourselves, to continue to learn and grow, and, continually play at our edge. And I think that's one part of, remaining happy and, being sustainable in our abilities and what we are trying to create, and the value that we're trying to provide to the marketplace or the world,
100%. And that's only possible when we spend time with ourselves and when we have somebody on our corner,
Yeah,
right? Egging us on and help us move us forward.
absolutely.
So we've heard, we got through your origin story, how you got started. You started as a pharmacist.
Correct.
Pharmacist technician. My wife, I think, did that as well at one point in her life. But that's really hard work, right? And then growing that, finding business coaches to help you grow, that was
Yes.
brilliant. And now that the life that you're living, it's what you love to do.
Yeah, it's totally what I love to do. So what Casey impressed on me earlier on, my first business coach, once we started, doing all the marketing and setting up the businesses and that kind of thing, but he really got me to think about what's really important to me, and, I had never understood values. I mean, I was a kid and I'd never really understood the concept of being happy and, what really excites me. But, now I know exactly, I value freedom, adventure, like I mentioned to you before. So from the very beginning, we're in the pharmacy world, when we were setting up those, when I was in those businesses, for me to be happy, it became very, very clear that I needed to be constantly traveling. I needed to have extended breaks from the business in terms of traveling the world and making sure that I spent enough time away from the business doing my own personal things. Like I like to meditate and, I was really active into sports back then. So finding that balance was really, really important for me. And now that I know that's actually who I am, my values, my core beliefs, and what makes me happy, essentially. So
Yeah.
it's just a natural progression for me to ensure that I carry it on into everything that I do now, because, I'm not, I'm not the guy that's going to be, having to work in one particular spot for an extended period of time. It's just, I just feel so restricted. So, this is fulfilling all of my needs, this business. So, and I think that's essentially what I try and instill with my clients as well, is because, when things get tough in your business, when you work with a coach, you're going to have to do some real work, setting up systems and procedures and doing uncomfortable things. And when it gets really hard, it's easy to throw in the towel. But if you have this vision that we've already worked out and what makes you happy, and, that really should propel you forward when it gets really tough, to make you understand why you're doing all these things, right?
Yeah. Those are the things that keep us motivated. Those are the things that inspire us, because when we see that path, where I was, where I am now, I just got to keep going to get to.
Absolutely.
And even the destination is always changing too, right?
Correct.
Because again, it becomes that point of stagnation. Okay, we're here now. Do we go back? Do we go somewhere forward?
Yep.
It's different.
It's really different. And yeah, as long as you're in touch with that, as you continue on the journey, you can really start to understand which way you want to move. And, you're right. Some people actually make the choice to move backwards. And when I say move backwards, I've sort of done that in a sense, which is, start to remove some of the external things in my life, maybe not be so consumed about, finances and obtaining things anymore. It's really amazing to realize that you're now in this position where you can actually start taking things away. And you just become, well, I know for me, I've actually become a lot freer and a lot happier, in that regard since when I got into business 16 years ago,
No, that's so true. And it reminds me of the fact that the more things you have in your house or in your space, the more cluttered your mind is, because you're thinking about that thing. Oh, I want to go do that thing. I want to go do that thing. You're cluttering your mind with all the things, but the more you start removing, you're decluttering your mind as well as your house.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'm one of those people as well. For me to think clearly, I need a very ordered, neat, tidy environment around me. So yeah, we put a lot of things into storage. We sold off a lot of things as well when we left to come to Germany. So there's a little storage in Australia with just a few of our things, and it feels good to be light and nimble. It's really liberating.
The fastest cars are not the heaviest one with all the bells and whistles. You strip out all the things.
Totally.
And now you've got a powerful and fast car to win that race.
That's
Alvin,
right.
this has been, really amazing. Learning your journey, what's keeping you motivated. Let's take a quick break as we come back, and then you're going to share with us 3 hacks to take away for the audience.
Absolutely.
I'll be right back. I'm Junaid Ahmed, host of Hacks and Hobbies podcast and a digital presence advisor at HumbleZone. This episode is brought to you by Home Studio Mastery. I launched a consultation and course program to help podcasters and course creators to create a space in their homes that will reduce the friction of creating content and appearing their best when showing up on camera. The pandemic gave us a lot of issues, but this one is here to stay. We're now so much closer to our audience thanks to video becoming more popular and affordable. I help guide folks who want to create Hollywood-worthy studios to not only capture great content, but also build more confidence, more authority, and be more comfortable in front of the camera. If I can do it, you can too. And with my help, you can do it faster. So if you'd like to learn more, visit homestudiomastery.com and how you too can create a home studio that brings out your personality, professionalism, and possibilities. Hey guys, welcome back. We've been speaking with Alvin Narsey, and he is a business coach, and we just had the most amazing conversation. And if you've been listening through, you've probably taken some notes as well. Well, get ready, because Alvin's going to share with us 3 hacks to take away that you can implement in your life immediately.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
hey,
Alvin.
Go for it. Okay. Love it. So yeah, I can talk from experience. So there are 3 main hacks I think that I recommend to most people. And I'm going to start with one. Is one to have some sort of a mindfulness practice. Now, we've heard this word being thrown around a lot, whether it's meditating or, some sort of yoga or Tai Chi or something that brings you in the present moment. I've been meditating for a very long time. I practice a type of meditation called Vipassana, which is not for everybody, but I have an hour-long practice, and I do it every morning, Monday to Friday, from 5:30 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. So I think some sort of mindfulness practice like that, and you can start small. There are lots of guided meditations that you can download and use for 5 minutes at a time. Mm-hmm. But there is something when you really take the time for yourself to understand how to be in the present moment. I think it's super powerful, and it's got so many other impacts, in your life beyond just being a good human being and productivity and that kind of thing. So that's my first one.
Nice.
The second one, I really encourage people to have some sort of a body routine, right? Whether you're going to the gym or swimming or just something that you do to activate your body. So you're figuring this out now, like stuff with the mind, with the tip number 1. Number 2, something to do with your body. And I think, that's beyond the longevity aspects and the health aspects of it. I really think when we start to engage our body, there's something else that happens. You feel a lot better. Obviously all the studies say that, you're going to be in better condition, you're going to live longer. But I think the main thing for me has been the realization, because I came very late to the body game, sort of, getting into sports and that kind of thing, which is how much more you can enjoy life and how much more you can do things. So anyway, that's a body practice. We've got mind, body. And the third hack that I love is, I have a journaling practice, and I encourage everybody to journal. There is something also very powerful about collating your own thoughts, writing your own thoughts down. It doesn't have to be big. Like I do an A4 book, A4 page every day, I beg your pardon. But, even starting off small with a small notepad, but just doing, and whatever it is for you, whether it's a brain dump or a reflection of your day, I do a combination of all those things. But there's something about writing, and, helps me be more present, articulate your thoughts a little bit better. But there are those 3 hacks which I would recommend, and I recommend to everybody. So,
Alvin, that sounds a lot of time with myself. I don't know if I could do that.
Well, you can spread it out. So, you can do the body thing. You spread it out over the course of the day, and you don't need to go hardcore like me. You just do a little bit, start slowly, and see how you go.
I love that. No, I'm a huge proponent of journaling, because the more you write out what's in your head,
yes,
you're going to start solving your own problems. I was writing this email to a friend of mine, and I started listing all the things that I'm working on and questions I have for, and I'm like, wait, I have answers for this, because I've gone through, I've know this, right? It's just really important to be your own mentor by writing stuff down.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
Man, all right. Let's jump right into the last stage of the episode with these quick shot questions. Number 1, what is the one hobby that you wish you got into?
I really wish I got into archery, and I still think I'm gonna do that. But yeah, I wish I had the opportunity to learn it earlier on when I was a little bit younger. There's something about the whole technique, and again the mindfulness aspect of it and the difficulty of it that really excites me. So
archery is fun. My neighbor is an archer, and he's joined the local group who basically they hunt deer at certain time of the year, because to keep the population at a level, right? You got to hit some deer.
Yeah.
So that's so cool to be able to, like, you got to be really good. Like, you got to be able to hit in the first shot. I'm like, wow.
It's supremely difficult. You need a lot of training and practice.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you've seen the television show Arrow, or Green Arrow,
yes,
right? He's an archer, and that was just so much fun to watch. What did you want to be when you were a child?
Wow, it was really hard. I think when I was a child, I wanted to be an astronaut, and that was cliched, but I think it came from the fact that I used to play with Transformers as a kid, and traveling universes, and obviously Star Wars had an impact on that as well. But yeah, astronaut. That's
so cool, because I've got some posters of Mars back here, because that's from NASA, and then I think the latest image from the Cornelius, is it Cornelius?
Not sure.
The Carina Nebula.
Oh, wow.
Shot with the latest telescope that they put up there. It's just beautiful. Awesome. And I'm a huge fan of Star Wars as well. In the coming shows, you'll see there'll be a different backdrop, because I've got these helmets coming in. Look forward to it. All right. Next question. What is your favorite movie or TV show?
Yeah, I think my TV show favorite is called Fringe. I'm not sure if you remember it.
I remember Fringe, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit about time travel and, alternate universes. And I really, really loved it. And I think that was, oh my God, I'm blanking at the director's name, but the guy that recently did Star Wars again. Anyway, I really loved it. Really, really loved it.
Nice. I love that. What movie would you choose if you got to play a character in it?
That'd definitely be, and I'm working on it right now, is Neo, Keanu
Ooh.
Reeves in The Matrix.
Yes.
I'm working on growing my hair, but yeah, I'd be.
You mean the man? That is the perfect answer because that's one of my favorite movies.
I mean, The Matrix, is another. It's basically a Buddhist tale, I think, about understanding reality and the nature of reality and so on and so forth. So that's what resonated with me a lot, and of course he had the crazy powers, but
exactly. All right, next question. Who's your favorite superhero?
It's hands down got to be Superman. Old school, I'm going to keep it old school. Superman for me was, just the culmination of all the powers that you would need, super strong, can fly through the air, X-ray vision, love him.
Nice. I love that. Next and last question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
If I was a board game?
Yes.
Wow. That's a really, really good question. Look, I would say I would like to be Scrabble. Do you guys have that in the States? I think you
Yes,
Scrabble.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And I would like to be Scrabble because of the infinite knowledge that would be contained from being played on, or understanding all the words and that kind of thing. So,
no, that's a good analogy and the way to put it, because all the words in the world have been typed
should
in
be
on
up
there.
Exactly.
And it's language agnostic because as long as you use the English alphabet, right, you can probably do German words on it, French words, but probably not the words that don't have those. I wonder if there's a version of Scrabble for other languages that are
I'm
written.
sure there would be, right?
Right, that would be so interesting to discover.
Yeah,
wow.
Totally.
All right, Alvin, where can the superpreneurs listening to this episode find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best place is my website, alvinnarseycoaching.com. And, I'm obviously on LinkedIn, Facebook. You can throw me into Google and everything of mine should come up. Nice. Narsey. And yeah, if you're a retailer and you're looking to create more time and freedom in your business, shoot me a message and we can continue the conversation.
Fantastic, Alvin. This was so much fun conversation, and it almost feels like my meditation because I get to go into my mind and then,
exactly.
extract knowledge from your mind. So thank you so much for the time. We'll definitely keep in touch, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Thank you. Congratulations, you made it to the end of the episode. Thanks so much for listening to our guest on this episode. Please send me an email at junaid@hacksandhobbies.com to tell me what you loved about our guest today. You could find links mentioned in this episode on the hacksandhobbies.com website.